Okay, hi everyone. So about a month ago, the subscriber, the Friends of General Haig, asked me to research the 1620-1621 Polish-Ottoman War, and I realized it was interesting. Based on suggestion, I found out it's a very interesting topic, and I went ahead and started looking for sources. And so today, what I'll do mostly is just read from some sources. So I have a Polish Ottoman treaty in translation that I'll read parts from about some of the reasons why there was a conflict, and then I will read an Ottoman account of the Battle of Cecora in 1620, which is the painting you see here. I tried to find an Ottoman miniature, but there doesn't seem to be one online. And when I had an opportunity to visit a manuscript library just this week, and in the search system, I didn't really find anything related to Poland from around this time. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist, just wasn't able to find anything. But anyway, so what I'll do is I'll read a little bit from this treaty, give some context, and then I will read my rough translation of the Ottoman text. So the first document I have is from the collection Ottoman-Polish Diplomatic Relations, 15th to 18th Century, an annotated edition of Adnames and other documents. And an Adname is basically just a treaty. And that is translated and edited by Darius Koludzijic, I think. But if you look up the title, you might be able to find it. Unfortunately, it's not available in a PDF online, and it was published by Brill in 2000. If you want to try and look for it. And my other source today that I'll be taking a look at is from Volume 2 of the Topçular Katibi Abdul Kadir Kadri Efendi Tarihi, and so that's an edited Ottoman text published by the Turkish Historical Association, the TTK, in 2003, and it's edited and transliterated by Ziya Yilmazer. Yeah. Not in PDF either, if you can read Ottoman, which not many people can, obviously. So for some context on the conflict, so formally the Ottomans and the Poles in the 16th century had generally stable relations. Of course, there was always a low-level conflict because of the Crimean Tatars and their slaving in the Black Sea. That was really the foundation of the economy in that region for the Crimeans. And by around the early 1600s, the Ottoman Empire is in a fairly weak position. They had dynastic instability, and at this time we have the young Osman II on the throne, who is a child, basically, and will later be removed from in a regicide, very nasty regicide. But from our treaty that we have in May, it's dated to May-June 1619, we have some indication of the border issues, and this is from the Ottoman treaty. So I will read from some of that. So this is later in the treaty. There's a lot of details about the trade relations, but we have some information. As I have corroborated, accepted, and confirmed on their demand all the clauses and articles written and detailed in this treaty, I have also agreed to register and insert into this Adname certain other articles requested by themselves and announced by the said envoy of the aforementioned Polish king. The first of these states, quote, the Tatars from Crimea, Bender Ackerman, Ochakiv, and those dwelling in Tiberschik, those from Silistra, and others should not bring any damage or harm, and should not raid into the domains of the Polish king. Moreover, as certain rebellious individuals write and report untrue affairs to the Porte in order to cause mutual intrigue and disturbance, one should not trust their words as long as the matter is not verified. If their lies and falsehoods are disclosed, they should be punished according to their guilt. The Moldovan hospodars should not let Tatars and their brigands go through Moldavia to the land of the Polish king, and should not assist them like. And just to pause for a moment and give a comment. So Moldova, if you don't know, is considered a tributary state of the Ottoman Empire. So internally independent, but is part of the empire otherwise. Okay, continuing with the treaty. We have some more about taxation, and then moreover, as the Cossack brigands constitute an obstacle to our mutual peace and cause its deterioration, some clauses and articles providing for their removal and extinction were concluded and fixed in the previous year between the Vizier Iskender Pasha, may his sincerity increase, and the Hetman, and the great chancellor of the aforementioned Polish king. The councillors of both sides praised and accepted these articles, and mutually exchanged written confirmation. The first article of these records or certificates reads that, quote, the Polish king should hold firmly the Cossack brigands and should stop them, so that they do not put out from the Dnieper to the Black Sea, and so that no more damage may be done to the subjects of the state from which the side of these brigands, and he engaged that no damage be done to our subjects by the Cossacks and by his troops. The aforementioned king should also punish the Cossacks while they are on land. Secondly, as mutually agreed and allowed, customary gifts for the Tatar Khan are delivered in accordance with the previously given receipts, if they exist, starting with the present year, also from their side, that is, from the side of the Tatars. No damage should be done to the domains of the Polish king. They should live together as friends, and they should stand firmly in their promises and engagements according to the old treaties. Thirdly, no damage should be done to Transylvania from the side of the Polish king. If the son of Homone, who the footnote tells us is George Homone, son of Valentin Homone, the Hungarian magnate and opponent of Bethlin, and Bethlin at that time is the king of Transylvania, which is the Hungarian state. Continuing, or anyone or anybody else wants to set out with the intention of seizing this land, they should not give them like passage through Poland, and they should not assist them. Transylvanian merchants should be given passage according to the old treaties and customs, and they should not invent anything new against them. They should not assist either with troops or with money those tempted by the greed of rule over the Moldovan principality, those wishing to bring any damage or attempting to seize the Moldovan hospodarship from whichever direction, and no intrigue or molestation should be done by himself, i.e. the Polish king, or by his men. The Moldovan hospodars should firmly keep friendship with them according to the old custom. The Moldovians should not hinder Polish merchants from traveling by their customary road always used by them, and they should not invent anything new, i.e. any new taxes, and they should respect the old customs. And this continues, and there's some more about taxation and merchant passage, and then part of the conclusion states, according to this general narration, these strengthened articles were agreed between the Vizier Iskender Pasha and the Hetman of the Polish king. Now these matters have been submitted to the majesty of our governorship. Therefore, as long as the Polish king keeps firmly these promised clauses and articles, and as he does not allow the Cossack brigands who find refuge and nourishment in the Polish kingdom in summer and in winter to put out from the Dnieper to the Black Sea and to bring the least damage to the subjects of my state, I will not give passage through my dominions and through Moldavia to the Crimean Tatars. And if the Tatars do not wish to seat in peace, and if they want to pass through my dominions and through Moldavia and to raid the dominions of the Polish king, I should prevent it. Moreover, the Polish king delivers and allowed the agreed gifts to the aforementioned Tatar Khan according to the agreement, and the Tatar Khan wants to lead his troops with the purpose of bringing damage to the Polish crown, contrary to the peace agreement, after it is disclosed. For the sake of the aforementioned friendship, we will surely forbid it, with our imperial letter addressed to the Tatar Khan. In fact, our imperial letter concerning this matter has been issued already. And the rest of the treaty is just, in typical verbose Ottoman fashion, just basically keeps affirming this arrangement. And just to have, just to provide a little bit of commentary, the parts I skipped over, you kind of get the idea of what the goal of both states is, as they want to maximize trade that's mutually beneficial. So they don't want the trade routes disruptive. It's bad for business for everyone, basically, to put it kind of more colloquially. But clearly, this does not work because there's a war that we're about to discuss. So, now on to the part about the actual battle. So the titles from this section of the Chronicle, which is it's actually quite a lengthy history book. It covers quite several decades of Ottoman history. Into the War of Poland and Cossacks, battalions made to the Moldovan frontier, Iskender Pasha made Serdar, conquest made, and that's the title of this section. And in the year 1027, that's the Islamic calendar, of course, in the month of Shaval, the Polish king with the Cossack infidels made alliance. In the Black Sea, 60 Sheikha boats and frigates were collected and they pulled boats from their narrow neck of land together with the Don Cossacks. And because of the evil action of the hetmans who fled from Yeni Hisar, the Polish king's 30,000 infidels and hetmen and commanders, cannon and ammunition, and 4 infidel musketeers from the town named Yash, a mountain pass, at a rocky campsite, a battalion was established. They dug trenches on all sides, and all made apparent. And near the Purut River and the battalion's one side was in a marsh, and villages of Moldova and Wallachia were plundered. And I should just pause here a moment just to say that, like I said, this is a rough translation, and I've also translated this probably more literally than necessary, so that's why it sounds kind of disjointed, so I apologize. But anyway, continuing. And upon these conditions being made known, Iskender Pasha, who was the Ozi Beylerbey, and again, just a comment, Ozi is today, it's in modern day Ukraine, so it's a city in what is today Ukraine, was Serdar, or field marshal, was Serdar to the aforesaid battalion, and also Yusuf Pasha, the Rumeli Beylerbey, with the gathered Sanjaks, were ordered upon the Polish battalion. And with the large fief holders of the Hersek Sanjak from Bosnia, and the Akermanlids and Dobrajalas, they were appointed. And in front of Ishakje, the bridge on the Danube was ordered, repaired, and 10 detachments from the Royal Darbuzanlar, which I was not able to find a clear translation of, but it's some kind of detachment or office. Hirsova, and from Nigobulu and Silistre, with cannon carriages they were caused to bring, and 500 Jebejis with muskets were appointed. Jebeji was another one I wasn't able to find a direct translation for, but clearly from context, it's some kind of musketeers. And munitions were prepared, and also regiments were gathered. And from the side of the state, Hassan Beyzadeh, who was Danube Defterdar. So Defterdar, I have to stop and explain. So Defterdar is basically just the kind of imperial record keeper. So he's assigned to this Danube province and he's a bookkeeper basically, but it's a very powerful office. Was ordered, so Hassan Beyzadeh, who was Danube Defterdar, was ordered to be in charge of expenses, and from among the artillerymen, 20 artillerymen with the order, they were appointed. And from the side of the Tatar Khan, 10,000 Tatar warriors with emirzes were commanded to the Poland campaign. And with the Moldovan Bey and the Wallachian Bey's soldiers, they were prepared for the battalion. And Iskender Pasha, the Beylerbey of Ozi, gathered at the edge of Moldova with soldiers. And Yusuf Pasha, who was Rumeli Beylerbey, with the Sanjak Beys and regimental beys and troop commanders and large fief holders and holders of timars, passed from the Danube bridge in front of Ishakcha. Okay, I'll pause here and just provide another quick explanation. So Beylerbey, that's a bey of beys, so a high-ranking commander, a governor general, as in general officer. So you're military and a civil commander, basically. Sanjak is a smaller unit. Sanjak literally means banner. So you can think of that as, just another smaller commander or lower level commander. And then we also have Alay Beyleri in the original text, but Alay roughly means like a regiment or something close to that. Of course, these translations are never perfect. And then we also have troop commander. That's my rough translation of Cheri Bashilara. Cheri means troops, Bash means head, so something like that. And then the last office that they discuss here, the large fief holders. The Zuama, the large fief holders, and then the Erbabi Timarlara. So these are the owners of smaller fiefs. So Timar is basically a feudal fief. So that's a quick explanation of that. And the large fief holders and holders of Timars passed from the Danube bridge in front of Ishakcha. And the remaining soldiers came and they gathered at the field of Moldova. On the first day of the seventh month, they were joined with regiments onto or upon the Polish and Cossack battalion. There was combat and battle from among the body of the infidels' battalion with cannon to a quantity of soldiers, and a quantity of soldiers were brought to rout. Now also, another quick interruption, I apologize. So in the Ottoman text they use tabor a lot. Now that could refer to the tabor, like the wagon forts, or that could refer to, my dictionary tells me it means battalion, so I'm not quite sure. It could mean wagons. I used battalions, or both at the same time, that the wagons held a battalion of men. So that's just another disclaimer there. I need to consult more sources to get a better idea. Okay. But God, whose praises I recite, gave favor, and from the infidels' battalion provincial regiments joined. The morning sun shining, the infidels' cavalry and infantry, with the haughty enemy's gang from one direction, quote, "It is our chance," was said, and upon making tumult, the holy warriors also, from two sides, barked, and artillery blew violently to the infidels, and afterward also Iskender Pasha, who was making attack upon the mounted infidels, and to the non-believers of the dirt he turned face. Taking flight, and the Ghazis of Rumeli from one side repulsed the Cossack infidels, and others did not join to their battalions. To the hetman's side they took flight, and the Tatar warriors with swift gallop surrounded them, and they passed from the sword. Fell to the sword. I mean, like I said, it's a pretty literal translation on my part. The original text says Kilijdan Geçurup, which geçmek is to pass, but it has a lot of meanings in Turkish. Okay, continuing. The conquest of the battalion being on the 18th day of the month of Zulkadeh, and 7 or 8,000 infidels passed from the sword, and many prisoners were taken. And in the battalion the wounded infidels did not end. They separated their heads from their bodies. Sorry, 1 second. Let me just finding my place. Sorry. And 7 detachments of great cannon were taken, and 11 Dorbuzların ve Parankaların. I skipped this part of my translation, so I apologize. I'm not sure what those are. Fifth ettiler, the conquest was made of those. And decided 2 hetmans were captive, and the infidels' battalions scattered, and from among the battalion were the perverse infidels who were delivered, took flight. And on the 4th or 5th day, the fortress named Kamijse fell, and Iskender Pasha Ozibeyler Bey was a holy warrior. He killed 15 infidels, and in 4 places fell wounded, and from the battalions that were conquered, taking cannon and banners, 2 hetmen, one of them fled from Yenihisar, and there's a small section I wasn't quite clear. Went sideways, there was a quantity of prisoners, and with 10,000 infidel heads in the month of Zulkadeh were brought to the threshold, meaning the palace, basically, the royal threshold. The hetmans were executed, and prisoners were delivered to the Kadırga, probably another reference to the royal household. And that in the year 1028, and that then the section concludes. So I hope that wasn't too disjointed. I tried my best to provide a translation. It's quite literal, and I'm sure there's some things I can revise in this. But that's an Ottoman account of the Battle of Cecora. Quite interesting. Use of the Tatars but both sides have their own sort of mounted nomadic formation, which is quite interesting. We see also a lot of artillery and musketry, so that's also a factor. And of course, fortification, even in a frontier region. And like I said, with the tabor, I'm curious. I'm not sure if the Ottomans were referring to the literal wagon forts, or it's just a technical term, or it's a term they use for battalions. And like I said, could mean both at the same time, or interchangeably. So I don't know if there are anyone Polish subscribers or watchers that happen to see this. If you have maybe some Polish scholarship or sources that I wouldn't know where to find in from my English speaking side of things, let me know. I'd be curious to take a look, and I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it. I hope you learned something at least, and I will talk to you all in the next video.